Hey, my name's Sebastian and this is the portfolio that got me into UCL. Before I start the video, I'd just like to say that there is no framework for what a good or successful portfolio looks like, so don't try to copy anyone else's. Instead, just let your own style, interests and talent show in your portfolio. So yeah, let's get into the video. So the first few pages of my portfolio are actually just my GCSE artwork. So here you can see my first GCSE project called Our World, where we basically had to research 3 different artists and then combine their art styles into one final piece. And yeah, I started off by researching Dan Hoffman. I did this through some observational drawings based off pictures that I'd taken myself, where I tried to replicate his art style. And I also did some artist studies where I attempted to recreate sections of his artwork. I decided to put these in a portfolio because obviously I was applying to architecture, so I thought drawings of buildings could help. But not everything in your portfolio has to be architecture related, so keep that in mind. So here I continue to do a similar thing, this time with MC Escher's art style, where I made more observational drawings based off pictures that I had taken myself, as well as recreating sections of his artwork, and doing some experimental studies with cross-hatching and shading and that kind of stuff. As you can probably tell, I didn't really like using colour in my artwork back then, which is why I chose these 2 artists. But personally, I recommend you trying to show as many different mediums as you can in your portfolio, just to show your versatility and your skill set. This is something that you can see on the 3rd slide here, where I got more comfortable with using colour pencils and oil pastels, just to add some life to my drawings. This whole page is actually research into Cinta Vidal, and I chose her because of the way she combines multiple structures into one, which I really liked. And you can see me experimenting with that on the right side of the page. Oh, and a quick tip, I'd recommend writing a short caption or paragraph on each page of your portfolio, just to explain what you're doing. And here you can see my final piece, where I tried to combine the styles of the 3 artists that I researched into one piece of art. I tried to draw this in a way so that when you turn it and look at it from a different perspective, it still kind of works. But I think I messed up the proportions or the perspective or something, because it looks kind of odd. But I'll give myself a break because I was like 15, So here you can see my second GCSE art project from year 11 called Reflection. It's basically the same thing. We researched three different artists based off the theme and then combined their art styles into one piece of art. And I decided to continue researching MC Escher because I really liked his hyper-realistic art style. So here you can see some observational drawings that I did from objects around my house, and I also did some artist studies where I attempted to replicate his artwork, which is the eye and the hand that you see over there. As I said earlier, I really did not like using colour in my artwork, probably because it wasn't something that I was good at, and the fact that I'm colourblind didn't really help. So yeah, me choosing to research Patrick Martinez was kind of me stepping out of my comfort zone because of the way he creates very colourful and neon artwork, which kind of forced me to use mediums that I didn't normally use, such as oil pastels, acrylic paints and alcohol pens. So yeah, you can see that on this page where I did some artist studies and observational sketches of objects that I found around the house. On the left side of this page you can see my research into Roy Lichtenstein, who I chose because I really like his comic book art style. So yeah, here you can see some artist studies that I did where I recreated sections of his artwork. I also attempted to recreate pictures of interiors that my aunt had designed in Roy Lichtenstein's art style. And on the right side of the page you can see my final piece, where I combined the art styles of the 3 different artists that I researched in this project through the use of different mediums such as alcohol pens, spray paints, pencils, ballpoint pens and acrylic. So here you can see the boathouse project, which I completed during my work experience in year 12, where I was given a client brief and had to design a boathouse based off a certain list of criteria. For example, the client wanted some indoor boat storage that was off water, as well as some spaces for bird watching, so those are things I had to consider when designing my boathouse. On the top left you can see some of my initial sketches, as well as some experimentation into wooden beams and how they can be used to support a structure. I also researched how different textures and materials can be used to add detail to my design. On the right side of the page you can see my initial and final plan drawings, which include the off-water storage, the staircases, the balconies, and a deck that I designed to be over the water to allow side access to a boat when it was in use. And in the bottom left you can see the final drawing that I did out of pencil and alcohol pen, and then the final model which I made out of modelling card, which I found to be the most fun part of the work experience. I also photoshopped a picture of the model into the picture of the site just to see what it would look like. Okay, this next page, I don't know what I was thinking. There's so much going on. But just follow the rows from left to right and move down the page. So this was my first A-level project called Connections and Sustainability, where we basically had to design a folly based off that theme. So I decided to approach this theme by looking at the connection between nature and architecture, interior and exterior. So I started off by making some models and experimenting with different shapes and how they interact with natural light to create shadow. Because the theme was sustainability, I decided to use timber as my main material in this design, which drew me towards Kengo Kuma's work, especially the way that he uses traditional Japanese joinery techniques in his architecture, which is something that I explored myself through models that you can see above. I then came up with several different initial ideas that I didn't have space to show on the screen, but eventually decided on one to bring forward for development, which you can see on the third row. I then made a quick foam model, made a couple pen drawings, and an MDF model, and then started developing the shape here and there, adding the layered base, extending the wooden beams, and adding vertical beams as well. I then decided to add a tensile structure into the design to break up the linear and boxy aesthetic with a more organic shape, and experimented with different ways I could place it on the folly itself. And then once I'd come up with the final design, I started making it, and you can see some pictures of the finished product in the bottom right. So here is the final page of my portfolio, and I have to say that when I was making this portfolio, I had really just started this project, so there wasn't that much work to put in. So what you see here is just some experimentation, some initial designs and models and sketches, so there isn't much to say. So yeah, that's it. I hope you found it useful. If you need any more tips on applying to architecture in uni, check out my other video. Thank you for watching.